let me ask you something personal. Have you ever walked away from a conversation and thought, why did I even say all that? You replay your words in your head, feeling exposed, maybe even foolish, and you tell yourself, next time, I'll keep quiet. But the next time comes, and again, you overshare, over-explain, overreact. Why is silence so hard? We live in a world that teaches us to speak, constantly. Speak up, speak out, express yourself, tell your truth. But what if I told you? The most powerful thing you can say is sometimes nothing at all. Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, believed that silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Not the kind of silence that comes from fear, avoidance, or being ignored, but the kind of silence that comes from knowing yourself so deeply that you no longer need to prove anything to anyone. Think about it. How many times have you said something, not because you meant it, but because you felt uncomfortable sitting in silence? We fill the space with words because silence makes people nervous, and not just others. It makes us nervous too, because silence brings us face to face with ourselves. Jung believed that the words we speak often come from the parts of us we don't understand, from wounds, from fears, from the shadow, the side of us we've pushed away or denied. And when you speak from that place, your words may sound strong, but inside, you're actually defending something fragile. Let's be real. How often do we speak just to fill the awkwardness, to sound smart, to be liked? Here's the twist. When you stop reacting, stop explaining, stop performing, people start to listen. Why? Because silence disrupts the usual pattern. It creates space. And in that space, something powerful happens. You begin to hear your real voice, the one beneath the noise. Have you ever sat in total silence, and suddenly emotions you thought were gone came up? That's your unconscious knocking. Silence isn't emptiness. It's a mirror. And most of us are terrified to look into it. But here's the secret. When you learn to sit with that discomfort, when you don't run from your inner noise, you start to see yourself clearly. You realize you don't have to explain yourself all the time. You don't have to prove your worth with words. You don't have to speak just to be seen. Your presence is enough. Jung believed that the path to becoming your full self, what he called individuation, starts not with speaking, but with listening. And the first voice you need to listen to is your own. So here's the challenge. Next time you feel the urge to speak, just to fill the gap, pause. Feel what's underneath. Is it fear? Is it loneliness? Is it the need to be understood? Because once you know where the urge comes from, you finally have the power to choose. Do I need to speak, or is silence the wiser path right now? This is not about shutting down or bottling up emotions. It's about containing them, so that when you do speak, your words come from clarity, not confusion. And that, my friend, is what makes your voice truly powerful. Here's a hard truth. Most people don't actually listen to understand. They listen to reply. And when we speak, it's often not to communicate, but to defend, to justify, or to control how others see us. Have you ever caught yourself talking just to manage someone's opinion of you? You're not alone. We've all done it. You're in a conversation, and suddenly you feel misunderstood. So you jump in. Let me explain. You talk faster, louder, clearer. But does that really help? More often than not, the more we explain, the less we're truly heard, because explaining too much doesn't build connection. It reveals insecurity. Carl Jung believed that the compulsion to explain is rooted in a fear of being unseen, and when you constantly feel the need to clarify or justify yourself, it's a sign that part of you is still waiting for permission to exist. Let that sink in. When you feel calm inside, you don't need to be understood by everyone. You don't need to correct every misunderstanding. You don't need to win every argument. You just show up, quietly, clearly, fully. But when your self-worth is shaky, every silence feels like judgment. Every pause feels like rejection. So you fill it with words, stories, defenses. Let me ask you, have you ever tried just pausing? Not because you're avoiding the topic, but because you no longer need to prove your truth. That pause is powerful. It sends a message stronger than 1,000 words. I know who I am, and I don't need to explain it to be real. Now, this doesn't mean you never speak up. It means you choose your words carefully. You speak with intention, not anxiety. In fact, here's a challenge you can try this week. Next time you feel misunderstood, instead of launching into an explanation, take a breath. Ask yourself, do I really need to be understood right now, or do I just need to stand in my truth? Sometimes, letting the silence speak is louder than any defense, and people feel that. They might not always agree with you, but they will respect the energy you carry. Because silence that comes from self-trust isn't emptiness. It's presence. So here's your reminder. You don't owe anyone an explanation for being who you are. You don't have to rush to fill every gap. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing and let your energy say it all. Let's talk about emotional reactions and why silence is often the most mature response. Think about it. How many times have you regretted something you said in the heat of the moment? A sharp comeback, a sarcastic jab, a truth you threw like a weapon. Did it really help, or did it just add fuel to the fire? We live in a culture that idolizes quick wit and clapping back. But Carl Jung would have said this: every emotional outburst is a window into a deeper wound. That anger, that defensiveness, it's not just about what someone said to you. It's about what it triggered inside of you. So the real question is, can you pause long enough to see where that reaction is really coming from? Let's say someone says something unfair or even offensive. Your instinct: fight back. Prove them wrong. But if you respond from a place of pain or ego, you lose twice. You lose your peace, and you lose control. Silence, in that moment, isn't weakness. It's strength. It's you choosing not to be pulled into someone else's chaos. Here's something you can try. Next time you feel your heart racing, your face heating up, your fists clenching, don't speak. Just observe. Ask yourself, what part of me is feeling attacked right now? And is this really about them, or something deeper? Because here's the truth. You're not always reacting to the present. You're often reacting to past versions of yourself that still feel unheard, unhealed, unseen. And those moments, when you want to scream, explain, or defend, are actually your greatest opportunity for growth. Silence doesn't mean shutting down emotionally. It means creating a sacred pause, a space between impulse and action, between feeling and speaking. That pause? That's where power lives. You don't have to react to every opinion. You don't have to correct every lie. You don't have to win every battle. Some victories are invisible, like walking away with your peace intact, like realizing you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. So ask yourself, is this worth your energy? Or is silence your higher self saying, you've outgrown this? Let's go even deeper, because silence isn't just a tactic. It's a transformation. When you learn to say less, something interesting happens. People start showing you who they really are. In your silence, they fill the space. They reveal their intentions, their insecurities, their patterns. You stop reacting and start observing. This is the shift from emotional reactivity to emotional mastery. Because, let's be honest, how many times have you wasted energy arguing with someone who wasn't even listening? Silence teaches you that not every conversation is worth having, and not every misunderstanding needs to be corrected. Ask yourself, do you want to be understood, or do you want to be at peace? Most of the time we speak to prove, to justify, to defend. But when you're secure in yourself, you don't need to perform. You don't need to explain your worth. You don't need to narrate your growth. The truth is, growth is quiet. Confidence is quiet. Peace is very, very quiet. Carl Jung once said, Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. That's exactly what silence gives you, the chance to make the unconscious conscious. By not reacting, you get to see your own triggers, your wounds, your patterns. You get to ask, why does this bother me so much? Where does this come from? Is this really about them, or is it about me? This is how you stop being controlled by your past. This is how you stop being baited by others' projections. And here's the most surprising part. When you master the art of holding your tongue, your words begin to carry more power. Because now, when you do speak, people listen. You've turned down the noise, so your voice becomes signal. So don't be afraid of silence. It's not an absence, it's a space where clarity grows, a space where truth reveals itself, a space where you stop reacting and start becoming. Less speaking, more observing, less defending, more understanding. That's how you stop surviving and start mastering your inner world.